Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving into a fundamental aspect of research methodology: citations and acknowledgement. As a zoology student, you will read countless papers and eventually write your own. But how do we properly credit the scientists whose shoulders we stand on? And how do we thank those who helped us along the way? Understanding this is what separates a student from a true ethical researcher. Let us begin our journey into giving credit where it is due. To understand citations, imagine you are baking a spectacular cake for a competition, but you used a secret recipe created by your grandmother. If you win and claim you invented the recipe, that would be dishonest. In the world of research, ideas, data, and words are exactly like that secret recipe. When you use someone else's work to build your own zoology project, you must publicly announce where you got it from. This act of pointing back to the original creator is called a citation. It serves as a precise map, guiding your reader directly to the original document you consulted. Now that we know what a citation is, why do we care so much about them in research methodology? First and foremost, citations protect you from the severe academic crime of plagiarism, which is stealing someone else's intellectual property. Secondly, citations build your credibility as a researcher. When you cite high-quality sources, readers trust that your work is grounded in solid, verified facts. Thirdly, they allow future researchers to trace your steps, verify your claims, and read the original sources. Without citations, the entire structure of global scientific research would collapse into a chaotic mess of unverified claims. While citations are not mathematical equations in the traditional sense, we can think of a standard citation format as a strict formula that must be balanced. Let us look at the general structure of a reference list citation. C represents the complete citation. A stands for the author, giving credit to the creator. Y represents the year of publication, establishing the historical timeline. T is the title of the work, identifying the specific document. Finally, S represents the source details, like the journal name or publisher. If any of these variables decrease in accuracy or are missing, the equation is incomplete and the reader cannot locate the original work. Let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. Suppose you are writing a paper and want to use a fact from a 2009 book by C.R. Kothari titled Research Methodology, published by New Age International. We start by identifying our variables. The author variable is Kothari. The year variable is 2009. The title variable is Research Methodology. And the source variable is New Age International. By substituting these specific details into our equation, we combine them in the standard academic sequence. The final result perfectly balances our citation equation, providing a complete map for the reader. We just built a full reference list citation. But what about when you are writing the actual paragraphs of your paper? For this, we use an in-text citation, which is essentially a smaller, condensed version of our main reference formula. I represents the in-text citation itself. It typically only requires A, the author variable, Y, the year variable, and sometimes P, the specific page number variable. We combine these variables inside parentheses, right after the quoted or paraphrased sentence. This acts as a quick signpost for the reader, without interrupting the flow of your writing. Before we move on, let us apply this condensed formula to a real sentence. Imagine you have just written, "Research design is crucial for valid results." You learned this from page 45 of a 2011 textbook by N. Walleman. We substitute the author variable with Wolleman, the year variable with 2011, and the page variable with P45. We place these inside parentheses immediately following the sentence. This brief marker tells the reader exactly where to look in the full reference list at the end of the paper to find the complete details of Wolleman's work. Let us visualize how these two types of citations work together. On the screen, you see a diagram representing a research paper. At the top, in the main body of the text, we have the short in-text citation. Notice the arrow pointing downwards. This arrow represents the bridge connecting that brief signpost to the full bibliographic details listed at the very end of the document. Citations are the essential connective tissue of academic research. They ensure original authors receive rightful credit while providing a transparent, traceable trail of evidence for your readers. Now that we understand how to cite borrowed ideas, let us talk about the human side of research, acknowledgements. Think about organizing a massive university festival. You were the main organizer, but friends helped carry boxes, and a sponsor provided funds. When the event succeeds, you thank them. In research, an acknowledgement serves this exact same purpose. While citations are for specific data and words, acknowledgements are for the human effort, guidance, and financial support that made your work possible. It is a heartfelt, professional thank you note attached to your scientific work, usually written as a brief narrative paragraph. Why is this expression of gratitude so important in research methodology? Acknowledgements are vital for maintaining healthy professional relationships and ethical transparency. For instance, funding agencies often legally require researchers to acknowledge their financial grants in any published papers. Furthermore, acknowledging technical staff, mentors, and peers fosters a collaborative scientific community where people are eager to help one another. Failing to acknowledge significant help can be seen as arrogant or deceptive. It creates the false illusion that the researcher accomplished a massive project entirely in isolation, which is rarely the truth in modern science. To ensure no one is forgotten and the tone remains professional, we can model a good acknowledgement as a simple additive equation. AC represents the complete acknowledgement statement. E stands for the entity, which could be a person, a university, or a funding agency. H represents the specific help or contribution they provided, such as data analysis or financial support. Finally, G represents the formal gratitude expressed, such as the phrase, "the author's wish to thank." By ensuring all three variables are present, your acknowledgement will be specific, professional, and complete. Let us put this acknowledgement formula into practice. Imagine you received a massive grant from the National Science Foundation to buy laboratory equipment. The grant number is 12345. We need to construct a sentence that satisfies ethical and legal requirements. First, we identify the entity variable as the National Science Foundation. Next, the help variable is the financial support identified by grant number 12345. Finally, our gratitude variable is the phrase, "we gratefully acknowledge." Combining these elements yields a sentence that perfectly satisfies ethical requirements and shows professional courtesy to the funding agency. Let us look at another scenario using the same formula. During your data collection, a lab technician named Sarah Jenkins helped you operate a complex electron microscope. She is not a co-author, so we must acknowledge her. The entity variable is Sarah Jenkins. We must be extremely careful to specify exactly what she did in the help variable, assistance with the operation of the electron microscope. If we are too vague, readers might confuse her with a primary author. Our gratitude variable is the author wishes to thank. This clearly defines her role without blurring the lines of authorship. To bring it all together, let us look at this diagram illustrating the 3 pillars of research credit that support any published paper. On the left, we have authorship, for those who wrote the paper and take intellectual responsibility. In the middle, we have citations, for the specific ideas and data that were borrowed from others. And on the right, we have acknowledgements, for those who provided funding, tools, and moral support. By carefully articulating who helped and how across these 3 pillars, you build a reputation as a gracious, honest, and collaborative researcher. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us summarize the most important ideas. First, citations are the connective tissue of science. They protect you from plagiarism and allow readers to trace your facts. Second, we learned that both reference-less citations and in-text citations follow strict structural formulas to ensure no critical information is lost. Finally, acknowledgements are the human side of research, providing a transparent record of the teamwork and funding that made the discovery possible. Mastering these tools ensures that everyone who contributed to your success is properly recognized. Great job today.